So here's a question for you. Can you accept each moment as it comes? You know, all of life is just a series of instantaneous moments strung together that we call life. But you only live life right now. Anything that you think of that's in the past or any things that you project might be in the future are not life. The past is just a history that you've recorded in your mind. And so now it seems like it's life, but it's just a recording of something that already happened. The future, of course, is just something that we anticipate that might happen. And given certain circumstances that we're seeing right now, we can anticipate that certain things will happen or are very, very likely to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will, because there's a unlimited number of events that could occur that would totally change our perspective of what the future holds. But the moment is what we're living right now. As I'm recording this video and I'm having to clear my throat, every moment that I'm talking is the now for me. What I'm doing is making a recording, and that is not my life. In other words, my life is right now as I'm making this recording. But as you're watching it, it's not my life anymore, because I've moved on. I am living moment by moment in the now, and you're watching a recording of me of whenever I did this, a day or 1,000 days after I actually made the recording. And that's just a piece of history that no longer exists. It shows you a snapshot of time that may be 5, 10, 15 minutes long or so of what happened to me, or what I guess it would be what happened to me. It would have been, or what I made happen, which is making this recording. But what I want to talk about is accepting the moment that you're in right now. As I must accept the moment that I'm in right now with my throat continuing to get congested. Having just mowed my lawn and having some allergies to grass probably contributes to my inability to speak clearly. But can I accept that? Can I accept that right now I am recording this, feeling this throat thing that makes it a challenge at times for me to talk? Can I accept that instead of bright sunny weather outside, it's overcast? Can I accept that I am living in an area that just rains and rains and rains a lot, and I really love the sunshine? These are all things that make up our lives, all the circumstances that a lot of times we let drive us. They shift our feelings. They make us feel certain ways. We might feel down in the dumps because of something that happened during the day. We might get elated because of some great news that we just heard, or we're getting excited about some event that's just about to happen, or maybe something that's happening right now. And it's that fluctuation from up to down that our emotions take that is what makes us a lot of times flip back and forth and have a lack of solidity, a lack of groundedness in our lives, it's when you can enjoy every moment, regardless of what it brings. That realizing that the emotions, those emotions that come up, they're all just manifested as sensations in the body that you can feel and then release. I was listening to somebody talk recently who was referring to the way that animals respond to things, various situations, and it was what was interesting about it is that he was talking about, say, a deer encountering a bear. When a deer gets cornered, let's say that it's in a situation where a bear corners it up against a rock wall or something like that, and the deer, you hear about fight or flight, but in that type of situation, the deer won't fight and it won't run. It will freeze. And in that frozen state, it's trying to act like it's dead or not move so that the bear won't think it's a living thing that it wants to attack and eat. Now, by looking at the deer, the deer appears perfectly still, motionless, as if it's very calm. But inside the deer, its heart is just going because the adrenaline is pumping in this fear state. And that allows the deer at that moment to disassociate from the experience, because the deer knows that the threat of death at that moment is real. And the bear could either look at the deer and think, that looks like it's dead, I'm not interested, and just walk away. Or it could go in and maul the deer and just tear it to pieces, probably killing it almost instantly. Now, if the bear turns and walks away, once the deer knows that it's in the clear, that it's safe to move, it will, before it starts to take off and move, it will actually shake itself, just do this wild body shake, and that allows it to throw off all of the negative energy that it was feeling in that fear state, so that it can move on and the trauma is over and it has released the trauma. And the reason that was an interesting perspective is because humans often don't allow themselves to do the release. We could release in each moment that we feel the trauma, but we typically aren't taught to do that. We don't learn the methods of trauma release when such traumas happen. And it's a very physiological thing. That's why when the animals experience trauma, they will shake themselves physically, very violently, in order to release that trauma energy from the body. So in the moment that you are experiencing things that you don't like, we wouldn't necessarily refer to it as a trauma, but it's things that you're unhappy with, maybe. Maybe you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, for example. You get up from bed and for some reason you're just in a funk and it doesn't feel right. Go into the funk and release it. Shake yourself off and live in the moment. The funk may have to do with something that you remember from the past. It may be having to do with something you're dreading in the future. But those spaces of time don't exist in your reality except in your mind. Let go of the feeling, let go of the sensation in the body, the actual funk feeling, and you can bring yourself down into the now. Because when you turn your attention internally to where that feeling resides in the body, you are actually putting yourself in the present moment. You're forcing yourself to be in the now. And when you're in the now, it allows you to release whatever the concern, the trauma, maybe it's just a mini trauma or whatever, of what your mind has brought to your attention that is causing the sensation in your body. And by living in the now, it becomes apparent that those other realities, those other alleged realities or our perspective that they're realities are just a manifestation of the mind, and they are not real. They're not the reality you're living now. And the reality you're living now is all that matters. Because that's all you have is the present moment. The future you don't know for certain. The past is non-existent anymore, except again in your memory, part of your mind. So try living in and accepting the present moment. And not just accepting it, but welcoming it, inviting the moment as it is. Even if that moment means that you are in pain, physically or emotionally. Maybe you've been hurt deeply by somebody and you're experiencing that pain right now. Live in, appreciate this moment that you're alive in that pain, not despite it, not, well, I would live in this moment if I didn't have this pain. Not with that perspective, but with the perspective that I am alive. This pain is something that I'm experiencing now, either emotionally or physically. I'm going to go into where that sensation of the experience of this pain resides in my body. If it's a physical pain, you'll be able to pinpoint it pretty much. If it's an emotional pain, there will be a physical manifestation of it in your body somewhere where you feel a sensation of that emotional pain. Go into it and live in this moment with it. And as you do that, you'll notice that the pain begins to relax. Because it's the actual avoidance of the pain that compounds it, that causes it to stay with you and continue and even get worse. But if you go into it and you actually force yourself, well, forcing is probably the wrong word, but allowing yourself to go into the pain and to relax into it and just experience it fully will allow it to dissolve. And then you can let it go. And when you let it go, you can shake yourself off and then move on with the good things in life.